Mr. Ross, good evening. Hi. Hello, Necessary Truth. How are you? Thanks for showing up, hanging out. Let's see what happens here. So I'll check in just a second. I am here. I'm just prepping up the astrodoodle for tonight. Let me just show you this. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more emphasis on here. There. It's absolutely beautiful sacred geometry when I think of it. It's okay. So just a very important thing to notice for October. We're already going to feel it. Pluto is going to go direct in about a week or so. And it'll stay like that for the next few months, probably 5 months or so, well into 2024. And then crossing into Aquarius. Holy bleep. The world is going to be changing forever. My mom, good evening, it's TarotLumination. Hi, how are you? My mom is French Canadian, and she used to speak French all the time when we were kids. Hello, Fluffles. And she would say this thing: la plus ça change, la plus ça reste la même chose. And apparently it means the more things change, the more things remain the same. So that's some kind of French, famous, very old bumper sticker. There we go. And in a way, it's very true. We're going through cataclysmic, global, civilizational change, live, real time as we speak, here on TarotLumination. Fluffles, you're French Canadian. Whoa! Huh? I used to speak a little bit of French. And my mother is a little bit of Quebecois, I believe. And my grandparents, all they would speak is French. And on the other side, they would speak German. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, she said que sera, sera all the time. She would sing it in French. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Oh. So, yeah. It's happening right now. I wish I had more powerful softwares and huge computers and massive PDF displays, and I could do huge, I'd like to do presentations like this. I'd like to be able to say, hello folks, so over here on this we're going to see some of this, and then this is going to go from here to there, and then we can expect this. I'd love to be able to do stuff like that, but I don't really have the capacity at the moment. But it makes you feel really special. Oh, okay. Hello, Esther. Good evening. Okay. So looks like Fluffles wants a reading. Looks like Gregory wants a reading. Is that right? Anyway, we'll check as we go along. We're just getting started, saying hello, warming up. Good evening, everybody. And welcome. I have to tell you, before we kind of get into the show, the way we normally do, I've had a spectacular impromptu weekend. I just want to share a little bit of it with you, and then ask if you would like to find out a bit more. I don't know quite how to do that, but maybe I'll figure out a way. Anyway, my dear wonderful brother is very, very deep in showbiz, like events, rock music, things like that. Very high up in that world, like managerial stuff. And every now and again, he gets me inside. So it makes me feel very, very special. So he invited me because he was doing a whole bunch of big shows in Los Angeles. No, I didn't get the cat. He was doing another bunch of shows in Los Angeles, and then with his, connections, he said, "Hey, TL, do you want to go out and hang out this weekend and see a big rock band, U2, at a place called the Sphere?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." Anyway, the Sphere is this new, enormous phenomenon here in Las Vegas. It is like a sphere. It looks like a massive planet, like Jupiter, from outer space, just landed in the middle of Las Vegas. Very, very high tech, very, very new, and it had its opening night last night, the night before last. And last night was the second event, and I have to tell you, it was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. I have a bunch of little videos on my phone, and I'd love to share them with you and do a little bit of talky in the background. And then he said, "Well, while we're here, let's do more stuff." And so we went to an after party. Showbiz after party. I felt so special. I got to talk to really cool people. Not the band or the artists or anything, but a lot of the people who do the wizardry for like lighting and sound and all the magic and making shows happen. And then went to bed, got up the next morning, went out to a fantastic, beautiful breakfast, and then straight back into Las Vegas to look at something called, I think it's Area 15, where they have these life immersion experiences. And one of them is called the Illuminarium. Of course, so TarotLumination made me feel like, oh yeah, we got to do this. And so we did. It was spectacular. I don't have any video for you, but I'll tell you about it another time if you want. And then after that, we went to something, the Area 15, was it? Again, a very bizarre immersion experience. And then after that, he said, "We got enough time. Let's take you through Old Town Fremont." So we did all that, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You could see all these old wedding chapels and gentlemen's strip clubs and about a dozen cannabis stores. It's huge business. I had no idea because I never go down to the strip or anything. So that was jolly good fun. And then after that, he took us to a little boutique shishi eatery, kind of in a nook corner over off Fremont Street. What was in the Illumination? Oh my gosh, it was just fabulous. Okay, it was like being with wildlife in Africa, like in the Kenya safari parks and things like that. And you go into this huge room. And it's got, I don't know how to, it's just a spectacular display immersion where you actually feel that you are there. And there's giraffes and tigers and lions and elephants and leopards, ostriches, and swallows and hippopotamus. And I probably forgot a few things. Rhinoceroses. And I said hippopotamus? Yeah, all those things. And it was all real live footage captured by the creative people with whom my brother has this association. And so, of course, I get in free. Oh yeah, it makes me feel so special. I just love it. And so we got to see all this stuff where the ticket prices are enormous. And then I get to, somebody kind of goes, "Yeah, okay, you're clear. Go in, sir. Yeah, there you go." So that felt really, really, really cool. And yeah, so I just wanted to tell you all this stuff because it was like going off into outer space and then landing back on Earth again. And here I am just doing regular old TarotLumination. So good evening and welcome. It is the 1st of October, Sunday night, 2023 here in sunny Las Vegas. It's much, much cooler. It dropped 20 degrees in 24 hours. So that's pretty cool. What else? Of course, I had to take care of Bubba, Bonnie, and Boo Boo. Those are the 3 cats, because I was out of the house for hours on end, and so I gave them extra special treats so they wouldn't resent me being gone and not giving them enough cuddles and things. And it worked. I gave them magic extra super gravy food. Oh, gratitude, man. Gratitude. Yeah, anyway, it's basically a form of bribery to keep the cats happy, but it worked. It worked very, very well. I just wanted to share that little story. I'd love to share more, do the visuals. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. I could load a bunch of stuff. I could figure out how to do it and load it onto this channel. Maybe something like that, if people are interested. I could title the videos like ... nothing to do with TarotLumination, tarot, astrology, or I don't know, create a secret private listing, or I don't know how to do it. No, but I want to share it because this is literally this is history in the making. This whole thing with the sphere in Las Vegas, it's history in the making. It's a $2.5 billion multi-year construction, and it works. It is spectacular. I don't know how else to say it. It's just mind-blowing. And there you go. So I feel obliged to share this. All right, so good evening and welcome. Let's have a look. Esther, hi. Necessary, hello. Fluffles, hello. Gregory, hello. I think I just heard, I think there's a love triber somewhere. I'm not really sure yet. We'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to go look at the charts in just a minute. I want to make sure that I've got all the astrodoodle done properly here. And we should be okay. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm just trying to double check things. Astrodoodles. Yes. Okay. You know, I gotta get most of the aspects and things like that, all the different angles. Yep, okay. You deserve it. Thank you, Necessary. I feel like I really did deserve it. All right, let's go over here. All right. Oh, what? Bring your cats to get their annual scared. Sacred blessings. I'll read that as sacred blessings. So, back over here. And then I'm going to take a few moments break and I'm going to get a little beverage. Okay? So this is the new ephemeris for October. I haven't put any of my markings on it yet, but here it is. This is a very, very important time period. We're already leading up to it right now, and we're going to be feeling this for the rest of the year and into next year. We're going to see astronomical, irreversible, evolutionary changes in the human experience, the way that human beings relate to each other on Earth. That's how serious it is. Societal, deep societal change starting here. We're at the pivot point. At this cusp here, it's just like my experience on Saturday night, where, there's thousands, 18,000 people lining up to get in, waiting for the big transition. Then they get in, that takes time, and then they're actually inside, and then everything begins. So we're at this point right now. We've already had a glimpse of what's coming for the next 20 years, because we had a little bit of an ingress of Pluto in Aquarius a while ago, okay? And now we're at Pluto retrograde here as the United States is convulsing, going through massive epileptic fits of convulsion as the societal fabric and the structural systems, global restructuring is happening here at one of the pivotal points for the whole of human life experience as communicated through the world economy and the system of money, okay? So we're at that point right now. This is the point where you can hear the background music before the show starts, and you can see the event is there waiting for you. The gates are opening soon, but the crowds are piling up outside. It's turning into mayhem, and then eventually, bam, we're inside. And the next time that Pluto goes into Aquarius, it's going to stay there. And so that begins the 20-year journey. I'm hoping we can all go through this together in real time, because it's going to be history. We're going to be living through a huge timestamp in human history. The society, the fabric of society is going to be completely convulsing. Anything that basically is unacceptable to the community is going to be challenged, gutted. There's going to be revolution, because the challenge to the community is basically an extremely powerful oligarchy, a tiny handful of people who are at the very tippity top of the tippity top of the tippity top of the pyramid of power, control, and money that literally own the earth and how it all works. And they don't want to give up all their power and control and their money. So they're working very hard to put the noose around the neck of humanity. But some of us who are aware, we are saying no. Unacceptable. Nope. And I'm one of those crowds, so I'm going to be very active in this region here. All right, today, it's not exactly perfect, but can you see some of the sacred geometry here? I don't know what it looks like in particular, but it's sort of like a beautiful logo or a hood ornament for a fancy car or something. The angles are so accurate, so tight. Like the opposition here, the opposition here, the square here, the square here. It's almost like a perfect, like a VW Volkswagen hood ornament, you know? And then there's this big fat grand kite thing here. There's the grand trine again, and there's the big fat sextile again, creating this perfect kite, which has an extremely powerful opposition here right down the middle. And this is just yet another amplification of what I've been talking about for months now, about you've got to reveal it to heal it. And that's been building up ever since we had the sun, moon, and Mercury in Virgo. Mercury's still here in Virgo. Sun and moon and Mars have already moved on, way on. So we're dealing with it right now. I've talked about it many times, but basically we're seeing a lot of revealing of stuff that is essentially very toxic, tragic. Characteristics would be abuse, bribery, corruption, betrayal, deception, tragedy, loss, perversion, sickness, disease, death, imprisonment, chaos, dissolution of order, dissolution of health, loss of health across the whole of humanity. Okay. And that's what we're seeing. And it's very, very obvious in the United States if you take a very close look under the very, very precise microscope analysis of Mercury in Virgo. And Mercury in Virgo is calling it out and saying, excuse me, America, excuse me, we have a problem here. We have a very, very severe, very, very deep problem. This is a 911. So what are we going to do about it? This is emergency triage. This is the ICU. This is the emergency room. So what are we going to do about it? And all that stuff is the stuff that all that horrible, scary stuff is the stuff that you're seeing in probably mainstream news, alternative news, the global financial system, all those things about what's wrong. And what is wrong is essentially the symptoms of what happens to 8 billion people when you have a tiny number of people trying to impose their extremely, let's say, suffocating agenda for total world domination, control, and ownership according to their design. The beauty about this big fat kite is that it's allowing a tremendous amount of stability and uniformity and like a massive comfort zone, as if humanity is in the ICU, the hospital, the emergency room, and humanity has been stabilized. We're stabilized. It's still alive. Humanity is still alive, but we're seeing this twitching, convulsing, extremely sick, heavily diseased thing called humanity. And we're trying to figure out, how are we going to heal this? Well, we're going to have to do it in tiny little chunks at the time, Virgo style. We'll take this little bit here, we'll analyze it, pull it apart, figure out what's the problem, figure out how to fix it. No problem. Next, keep going. Because there's many layers to the sickness and the disease and the tragedy and the perversions. There you go. That's my analysis. We can talk about this thing later, this big fat T-square on the nodal axis that I don't know anybody talking about it, but we talk about it here. Thank you very much. All right, let's have a look. All right, so I just want to go over here, check in with the chat. I want to, hold on, give me a second. I got to come back here. I'm just clicking around in the background trying to get my stuff organized. Okay. Trying to sort out any readings for this evening. Now, I believe I owe one to Esther. I'm not really sure. Hello, Maria. I just saw you there. Let's have a look here. I'll just check in with Esther a minute. I want to see if we're doing a reading for Esther. I know we got Gregory. We don't have to put you up first, Gregory. We can, hang out for a little bit here and then see if anyone else shows up who wants a reading. And we can put them in front of the line if you want. But for now, I'm just going to get you set up with your magic Post-it note. So it's official. Alrighty, here we go. So Gregory's got a reading booked for tonight. Alright, I'm just going to put this aside over here. Then I can check in with people over here. There we go. So, one of the reasons I chose this sort of the vibe here tonight is because the weather is changing here dramatically. The air cleared up a lot. There's been some little white puffy clouds. It's much cooler. But don't be fooled. It's going to get hot again before it gets into winter. But anyway, I'm still struggling with the climate here. It's very extreme heat and my body can't take it. So I'm actually very happy to feel the cool. But what I'm noticing is that I'm still hot, even though it's so much cooler. I tend to run hot, but I always regret being nice. I've never heard that expression. That should be a bumper sticker or a t-shirt. Maybe we should create a Gregory Ross t-shirt, the brand. I always regret being nice. Think about it. That's a pretty cool t-shirt. Anyway, before I was, so I have to go through all sorts of stuff to prepare for doing my little shows. And some of it is to do with like a spiritual cleansing and a wipe down. Like it's sort of like having a psychic shower. So I can like, fluff myself up and get cleaned up and have zero interference or resistance to the energy flow as a transceiver. I've talked about that many times. We're all of us, whether we like it or know it or not, we are transceivers. We are receiving energy and we are transmitting. We're doing it all simultaneously, just like a smartphone on live talk mode. Not texting, not emails, not apps, live phone. Because on the live phone mode, you can speak and listen simultaneously. And that is essentially what a transceiver does. It's not a walkie-talkie. Walkie-talkie is on, hello, copy that, blah, blah, copy that, over. Yeah, I hear you, copy that, over. Okay, so there's a transmission, and then there's a receiver. Then there's a transmission, and then there's a receiver. But a transceiver is doing all of it at the same time. And that's what we do here. And to be effective, you have to be very, very clear. It's just, well, I know in my personal experience, I get clogged up with external, let's say, static or lint or fluff or anything like that. So it's almost like, with your air conditioning system or your sink or something like that, you have to clean the filters. You have to constantly, regularly pull out the filters and clean them out, because otherwise you start choking. You're not getting and receiving the energy. So you can't receive the energy, you can't transmit the energy properly. And it becomes, let's say, distorted, degraded, devalued. And I can't afford that. It's hard enough just to operate as it is. So I have to put extra efforts into like doing the cleansing, Otherwise it would be very difficult to do this thing that we do. Alright, so how's everybody doing? Let me just check in. Without actually pulling any readings, before we get into the readings, because I want to give it a few minutes in case there's other people who want readings, but just... How am I going to put this? Is anybody... Well, we just had the full moon. Some of you seen that and everything, but does anybody feel this sense of deep, deep calm, while at the same time being acutely aware that there are things out there that are extremely, let's say, wrong? That's the only way I can describe the energy. And I'm just curious if anybody else feels it. That's all. If anybody else, you might feel it like, oh, I feel depressed, or I feel confused, or I've got fog, or I've got static, or I'm frustrated, or whatever it might be. J. Hello, friends. I bet that's Jeffrey. J for Jeffrey. Am I right? Identify yourself, Jay. Identify yourself. See, Esther's very, very calm. TL, can you go into the Saturn at 1.49 degrees? Oh yeah, we can do that. Why is it moving so slow? Is it? Yes, it is. It's moving very slow. Saturn moves very slowly. It is. I knew it. I knew it. Okay, so let me make a note here quickly for you necessary about the Saturn 1.49. Give me a second here. Oh, I have something for you, Jeffrey. Ooh, Jeffrey. So I'm just making a note here, okay? Necessary truth. Saturn 1.49 degrees. And that is in Pisces. Okay. I'm just going to stick this over here. It's not really a reading. It's just something we need to take into account. All right, give me a second. Okay, that's my note for you, necessary. So, Jeffrey, like you... So, I just want to check in with Jeffrey a second. Jeffrey. So, Jeffrey, you just got here. We've only been going, what, 20 minutes? Oh, no, it's like 40 minutes already. Man. Anyway, so, Jeffrey, when I started the show, regular time, about 5 o'clock, what is that? 67 legendaries. Oh, that is a cool name. I get it. Oh my god. That's so cool. Legendaries. Oh, we got some cool stuff here tonight. Legendaries. That's really cool. So, Jeffrey, I know you've been very busy with other things, and I know that you had your sights on I guess you'd just call it a cannabis business. And, as you know, I don't partake. I don't take any drugs of any kind or anything, and I wish I could, but it just wouldn't work for me, so I don't. So, I had enough trouble when I was a kid. But for now, Jeffrey, when I got here tonight, I was sharing a story of nothing to do with the astrology or the tarot or anything like that. It was about this incredible weekend that I just had, and I got back to the house only, a couple hours ago. And part of it, well, there was this big rock concert with a band called U2 at a place called The Sphere. This is history in the making. It's the second show ever. And it's just mind-boggling. I don't know how to describe it, so I'm going to try and create a separate playlist just for that. And then I was talking about my visit with my brother and how he, hosted me for this fantastic weekend experience. And part of it was driving through Las Vegas. There's the Strip and all the insanity and the mayhem of the Strip and the casinos and the hotels and the concerts and the events and everything. And then there's the old Las Vegas, and I think Love Schreiber calls it the Fremont experience. So you go into this. I'm not a native. I hardly know the place really. I never go to the Strip. I don't gamble. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Oh, the Strip is meaningless to me. But it's very, very important to my brother because it's a big place of events. And my brother is deep into the event business. Anyway, in some of his time off, he took us through parts of central Las Vegas where for about, I would say 12 blocks, there were about 12 different, I don't know what to call them, cannabis stores. They all have really cool names, and they're all having their own brand, and they all seem to have these standalone buildings. And my brother was describing that some of the places they operate where they have a grow house inside, all the lights, all the packaging, all the marketing, and all the sales, all under one roof. Of course, you can't use it. You can't actually indulge. But it was mind-blowing to see all this stuff. It's an industry. It's a freaking industry. And I think you would have been very impressed, Jeffrey. Now. Oh, we got some real jokers here tonight. I love me some blackjack. Blackjack is one of those card games and you have to know a lot about numbers, right? Isn't that right, Jeffrey? I'm glad there's no casinos near me. Oh, yeah, it's probably good that there are no casinos near you. Am I on your reading list, TL? No. But I can put you on my reading list if you want. Now, 67 legendaries. I went to a U2 concert but got lost because the streets had no names. I just happen to know that's one of the titles of one of their big hit records. Where the streets had no names. Na 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 na. Where the streets had no names. Yeah. So, you got lost. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Fluffles. Actually, that was good. You must know a lot about U2 humor. Now, of course, at the concert, everybody who's at the concert basically worships U2. And you could see there's several generations. There's people who are in their 50s and 60s going to this concert. And then there's the kids, like in their 30s and maybe 40s. And then there's the kids of the kids who are like in their 20s. And it's really quite something to see. And people dress up. I'm not talking about crazy stuff like electric dance concert stuff, tripped out, LSD, ecstasy, acid trip type clothes. I'm talking about people who, like, they dress up. People had jackets, shirts, very, very, like, up-end, classy looking, very glamorous. Everybody looked glamorous and rich. It was a weird experience for me, I have to tell you. Oh, man. I'm just trying to catch up with the chat. Give me a second. I'm just trying to share some stories with Gregory there about the grow houses and stuff. So I've never seen you here before visiting. Is it under another secret name, Legendaries? I guess you're an Aries. Am I onto something here? And you are kind of legendary? And you're from the year 1967? It really sounds like a license plate. If you could squeeze all that into a license plate, you sound like a license plate. 67 legendaries. Oh, wow. Hey, man, you drive a 67 legendaries? Whoa, is that the V8 blown with the turbo supercharger? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Esther. The ticket prices? I don't know what they were because I was hosted. I have, you know what? I'm going to show you my VIP, whatever you call it, pendant. Stay there. Where did I put it? Stay there. Oh, I got it. Alright, I'm going to show you. This is proof, man. This is proof. I'm not full of BS here. Look at this. This is the universal pass for the VIPs. Yep. Yeah, you're looking at it. That's it. Yep, I wear this with pride. Yeah. The sphere is just freaking mind-boggling piece of architecture and technology. So, let me get back here. I'm still jiving with the legendaries. So, whoa, wow, okay, yeah, pretty cool, huh? Makes you feel really cool. So for the early part of the show, as you know, I go to bed very early, so the show really didn't start until my bedtime. So, so I actually went and had a Coca-Cola with some caffeine in it. In the end, I had to have 2. But it worked. I didn't have any palpitations, heart palpitations, or anything like that, because I was so happy that I was just burning off the energy and the caffeine. I had a wonderful seat, really, really good seating, and I could stand up now and again and play air guitar, along with the Edge and Larry, what's his name, on the bass. Some of you might know or not know U2. And I pretended I was a drummer, and then I pretended I was Bono and the rock star. I lived my youth. It was just spectacular. Anyway, so now Esther, wait a minute, Esther, did you just say something about a reading? No, who was it? Somebody said, let me check. I got to do the chat. I'm trying to stay on top of my show here, where we get together with blah blah blah. I know somebody said something about a reading. Who was it? I can't really tell. Anyway, if anybody wants a reading, you know what to do. I'll show you if you're new. What? Okay, here's an example. Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Whatever your pronouns are for 67 legendaries. If you want to book a live mini reading, you can go to TarotLumination.com on another device or something or whatever. Go to the donate page, click the donate button, swipe your magic cards through the device, through the payment processor. You can even select, you don't even have to have PayPal. You can just scroll down and select card. Okay. So there you go. All right, it was you, Fluffles. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, Fluffles. All right, so I'll put you over here. Okay, so we're going to get a reading booked up for Fluffles. Okay, I don't speak that language there. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. Go over here. Fluffles live mini reading here at TarotLumination Love Tribe. Hanging out. I'll put Gregory later. I'll keep shuffling you down the list, okay, Gregory? Because I know you like to let others get there. It's like sort of getting into the mood. I just want to get sorted here. Oh, I was hoping you were going to give me some money. Ha ha ha! You're really funny. You're really, really, really funny. Okay, El Estepario. Nah, another clue. 67 is Spanish. You kind of got me here. Esther. Okay, Esther. Let me go back on over here. Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to look it up online. You would just put it in your search bar on your computer or device and look for The Sphere, Las Vegas. It's the only one in the world, and it costs $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion to make it. And the guys who built it, they're like pretty hardcore entertainment business people, very, 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 very high up in the business. And they basically, it sounds like they, from what I can tell, they basically paid for it out of pocket. So it's going to take a while to get paid back, but they think they can do it. Okay. Well, maybe we can predict that 67 legendaries. 67 in Spanish. El Estepario. Dang it. Alright. Alright, just give me a second here. Stabilizing before we get into things. Okay. Now, just give me a second. Actually, I want to scroll back, see if I missed something or somebody or anything. I think I saw Maria. I think Maria decided to visit. And there is Jeffrey, okay? There's Necessary. I'm scrolling back through time. Just want to get my bearings here. There's Maria. I knew it. Hello, Maria. And there's Fluffle. Okay, I think we're good. I'm going to go back over to the top here. All right, so we're good. All right, what I'm gonna do is mark up my ephemeris later on, but for now, tonight, we can pretty much start diving in. Gotta do another little background check here, make sure I'm okay with all the technology so that I can actually do this. So we should be able to start the actual readings soon. Yep. Okay. Really bendy post-it notes tonight. Okay. Maybe it's the weather. Who knows? Fluffles wants a blind reading. Okay. I can do blind reading. I have some things in my mind. Yeah, sometimes it's better just to trust the universe. That's okay. Everybody messes with everybody on this channel. It's just a tiny little group of very special people. I like to think that we're special. In fact, I think we're quite elite. You know, I talk about elitists on this channel a lot. I talk about the elite of the elite. The people like the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the European Union, the Bank of International Settlements, the Federal Reserve banking system, the United States Treasury, the White House. You could go on and on and on. Mainstream media, big tech, big tech, and BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, the World Health Organization. All those things send shivers through my body like so that's what I'm talking about. Those are the elites of the elites, and they want the world to work a certain way. It doesn't quite work for me. Probably not for a lot of millions of other people too. So yeah, just be aware. Just be aware. We're going through some very serious times right now. The elites, they're not as elite as us. Like you, me, us, this little thing that we do here. This is the most elite, boutique, artisanal group of human beings online. There's no AI. We don't do that. There's no chat GPT, no fake tarot readings, no fake astrology, nothing like that. I am not a robot. None of that stuff. This is real artisanal. Okay, so here's an example how to describe it. When we were at the little place in Las Vegas this afternoon, myself and my brother, I was talking about the whole world of artisanal, boutique, premium high-end stuff. And my brother, he likes high-end tequila, things like that. And you could see at this place they had these really high-end, sort of looked like boutique tequila. That sounds like a song, boutique tequila. Boutique tequila. Anyway, so I thought, you know what? If I was going to go into the boutique tequila world, what I would do is I would hire a master distiller somewhere probably in the middle of Central America or somewhere where it's like a lost art and they have it nailed down to perfection, but they can only produce, 10 or 20 gallons or liters a year. Okay. Then you take that bootleg moonshine tequila, and you put it in basically salvaged bottles with fancy tops, and you carefully pour it in, and then each bottle, there's probably only about 10 or 20 or maybe even 100 bottles at the absolute most in the whole world. And each of those bottles has a handwritten label. It's a signature label. Each bottle is numbered, signatured, dated, and then it is brought to the market. And each bottle is placed inside a wicker basket surrounded by straw and fluff and moss and ferns to keep it very, very safe, and then cactus needles around the outside to protect intruders, and so on. And then, there's probably chicken poop sticking to the glass because it's being transported through the hills and up and down the donkey trails until it gets to the border and enters through the cartels into the United States, where there is a secret chain to go to the high-end drinkers of this stuff. And they pay $100 a shot. That's boutique artisanal. And that's how special we are. There you go. There we go. That's special. All right, let's have a look. So we got a reading lined up for Fluffles. We're going to do a blind reading. We got a reading lined up for Gregory. I don't know who else. Let's see. That looks like it. So it might be a short, sweet show tonight. I don't know. Excuse me. So we're going to use this if we have to. If anybody, let's do a couple of readings and then see how we get along from there. And if we get another reading in the meantime, fine, we'll do that. And then if anybody wants to have, chat loose conversations. Oh, hold on. I just thought of something. I want to share this with you. Now, I like to do these shows, and sometimes I do these mini weird live streams. It's a bit chaotic, and the technology for me is pretty tricky, but sometimes I nail it and it's pretty good. But what I wanted to show you is something a little bit, to me it seems very special. If, again, I have to find it. Give me a second. I have to go way back. I don't think there's any way I can bring it up here to show you properly, but I've been trying to do like live streams from my phone so I can be out and about, and it's fantastic. And there's a little button in there which says it's like a brand new service where you can live stream and invite a guest or invite guests. So if anyone's interested, keep an eye out. And what I'll try to do one day, probably in the near future, I will initiate a live stream and I'm going to activate the invite guest thing just to see what happens. I have no idea what it means. Maybe there will be like a blip on your own phone or a computer or something, and you kind of go, oh, what's that? TarotLumination live stream? Oh, and there's an invitation to join live? Okay, press that button. All right, that's what I'm suggesting. So I'm going to try it. I can't resist. It sounds like fun. It sounds like really scary because who knows who's going to show up. And then you'd be on camera. Ha 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 ha. Oh boy. All right, let's get over here and actually do some work. All right. Got to clear the decks. As you know, we're going to probably refer to this during the readings, so just be aware. I'm just going to put this here for reference, okay? Keep it to the side. Pop this over here. Let's clear everything up. Cards are well shuffled in advance, but I'm going to go again live so that you are a witness. Okay, no No hanky-panky here, no sleight of hand, no fake deck cards, none of that. This is the real deal. Alright. Make sure we got every single card. All right, let's have a look, folks. Actually, you know what? I need to get myself in the mood. Okay, let's have a look here. It's a beautiful deck. Okay, I'm going to ask for your indulgence, please. I need a pee break. So, let's do this again, and I'll be back, and then we can move forward in comfort. Okay? Hope you don't mind. So, just chat amongst yourselves in the chat, and I'll be right back. And we'll go from there. So I did my business, and I also got a little beverage while I was out and about. There we go. Cheers, everybody. Ivona, greetings. Oh, so I'm just checking in with, let me go back to the chat briefly before we actually get on with your reading, okay, Fluffles? Just give me a second. Okay, thank you for your patience. We're back. We're going to start the reading soon. In a moment for Fluffles, I just want to catch up on the chat. Here's the cool thing. Do you have a recommendation to help with things? Oh, okay. Now, I can't help you, Esther. Jeffrey would be the person. That's where to go. Where's the room? Sorry. All right. All right. Let's get to work, folks. Cheers, everybody. All right, so what kind of messages do we have here tonight for Fluffles in her world? Could be anything. Business, health, career, love, relationships, money, travel, I don't know, entertainment, fun, being happy, spiritual endeavors, destiny, all of that good stuff. Ka-ching! All right, let's have a look here. So what messages? Now remember, we just came out of the full moon. I just wanted... Give me a second. Sorry. Here we go. So right now, tonight, the moon has already moved into Taurus. Okay? Moon, Jupiter, and Uranus are all very tight up here in Taurus. So it's very, very... For me personally, I find this very grounding, stabilizing in a situation where there is otherwise a lot of stress. You know, I associate this section here with global financial chaos, but at this very moment in time, we're enjoying a little bit of stability. In fact, some of my most amazing finance teachers are trying to describe to their public, to their viewers, like, well, everybody, we know there's a lot of very, very bad news in the finance and the markets and so on, but why haven't we had a complete implosion, collapse, depression yet? And then, of course, the word is yet. Anyway, let's not worry about it. So, again, let's just do a quick recap. So, Sun is in Libra. We're talking about relationships, harmony, balance across the world. Mars is in Libra. Not happy there. It's in a direct opposition on the nodal axis. Very awkward. Highlighting the nodal axis here. Libra South Node, Aries North Node, which is all about the journey for each of us to attain maximum sovereignty of self and examine anything and everything that could be described as a relationship and trying to figure out, is it redundant? Is it crippling? Is it inappropriate? Is it a default setting that it is actually inappropriate? I can't remember what I just said, but all right, so Fluffles. Cards are well shuffled. Let's bless this. You know, I'm going to keep going. We're going to bless this deck. Bless every single card. The whole channel, all the technology, the microphones, the lightings, the softwares, the cables, the internets, the screens and the monitors, and the electric wiring and the sockets, the transmitters, all of it. The receivers, all of it. What are the messages that we have for Fluffles tonight? All right. Again, this is, a lot of you know, this is just my diagnostic spread. It's just my, call it the situation spread, situational spread, because it's what they use in the White House for myself in my private consultations with the presidents, whoever they are. So it's the situation spread. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at external influences. You got to have all of that. You got to know what's going on. You don't want to be flying blind. So we have the Strength card. Okay. So my feeling is that there's a bit of a battle going on, Fluffles, externally, which is like, it's almost like a reflection of what's going on out there. I'm not saying it's a reflection of you. It's an existential battle that's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of extremely powerful, narcissistic, megalomaniac, oligarch people who are literally trying to fiercely, including violently, using maximum power to take over and control the world. And yet, at the same time, that very same power would be much better expended if it was done through expressions of love and spirit. In other words, how can I share and express and live in my power? With great power comes great responsibility, and you are a very strong-natured person, Fluffles. Everybody here knows that. So the question is, what do you do with your power? And at any moment in time. And so you can either channel the power this way or channel the power that way. And that's what's happening out there in the world right now. Like, this is an extremely powerful and supportive aspect. It happens to support the elites of the elites of the elites. On the other hand, it's simultaneously exposing the extreme perversions and abuse of the power and how it's expressed to the world and how we the people feel it. And we're seeing the very, very worst of it, okay? So you need to be aware. What I'm sensing here for you, Fluffles, is that you need to be very aware that these external forces are moving through you physically, through your psyche, your soul, your spirit, your physical body, just like it's happening across the whole planet. And it's very important that you come to grips with that, basically owning your own power in such a way that you can steer it, like steering and driving a car, so that you are not being steered. You're actually steering the power. You're not a victim of external power. You're not a victim of your, let's say, default settings as the primal creature, Fluffles. What we're doing here is reminding you that there is another higher level. There's a higher power. And it moves through you, Fluffles. And you have to be aware of it. If you deny that beautiful power of spirit, then you're harming yourself and anyone and everything that you come into contact with. If you focus only on, let's say, tangible power in earthly terms, then that's causing harm. So the important thing is to understand that both are happening simultaneously. It's just power. So the question is, do you do something beautiful, useful with your power, your nature, your energy, or are you going to harm self and others? I'm not talking about really nasty, horrible things. It's just like very, very subtle forms of power and the expression of power, okay? Let's have a look here. I guess what I'm saying is that you're very, very strong. Extremely strong. So what do you do with that power? All right, let's have a look. What's the situation itself? Okay, with the Page of Swords here, my feeling is that you're kind of already aware of what I was talking about here in this sort of grander scheme in a fairly nebulous way. But the actual reality is, in your life, in your world, you have to call it out. You actually have to define it and become your own whistleblower on yourself, where without doing any harm or without being judgmental or harsh or anything like that, it's about being absolutely, like, ruthlessly true and honest. It's as though you're doing a self-evaluation. Like, when you go try to get hired, let me do this. Like these days when people go to try to get hired for a job, and the interviewer sort of says, well, hello, Fluffle, so can you give us a picture? How do you see yourself as, your gifts, your talents? What can you provide to us here in the workplace where you might be seeking, a future or career or employment or something? And then you have a choice. Are you going to create a fake resume, like, I can do this, I can do that, I can do everything? Or are you going to call it out exactly as it is? Well, to be honest with you, I'm very skilled at this and this and this and this, but there are certain things where I don't have things that I really feel like I should have to operate at optimal abilities. And if I present myself to you as though I've got all of that going on at once, and then you discover that I'm not quite all that, I can't do that to you. And so the interviewer kind of goes, you are a real person of integrity. I'm amazed that you said any of that at all. You're hired. We trust you now. Because effectively you were the whistleblower on yourself. Does that make sense? You were willing to do that. It's absolutely ruthless and pure and simple. And it just cleans everything up. There's no fakery, no lies, no deceptions, no betrayal. It's just like, things are the way they are. This is how it is. And we all have to be willing to do that to ourselves, with ourselves, every now and again. It's part of like a cleansing. This got to call yourself out on yourself, okay? Let's have a look over here. All right. So that's what I'm sensing so far. Let's have a look. So what are the problems here? Without even pulling the card, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, let me just do it. I don't want to second guess this thing. Hold on. Okay, well, with the King of Swords here, my feeling is that in order to execute, do what I was just talking about here, where in order to really effectively, honestly do a deep dive self-evaluation, which amounts to being a whistleblower on yourself, it means really having to call yourself out at the very deepest levels of your power. And having all this power, and to me it would be like, for example, make a list of 5 ways that you execute and express your power with absolute authority, knowing that you are just and right and honest and truthful and with the best of intentions. Make a list of three, let's say 3 things in that way. And then, to balance it out, make a list of 3 things. How and in what ways have I betrayed myself and others and created a false version of myself by acting as if I have all these other 3 qualities over here that belong on this side of the description here, but the reality is these are flaws. So the difficulty would be here, like the ability and the willingness and the humility to admit that there's even a problem at all that has to be called out, and it's at the depths of your soul, and then having to be your own whistleblower and be honest with yourself and say, you know what? And that's a problem, because nobody wants to do this. Who wants to be the whistleblower? Who wants to call themselves out and describe very precisely your worst, let's say, abuses of power in life, in the world, and experience, in whatever setting in life? I mean, I know personally, Fluffles, I'm just sharing with you, that I have certain experiences in life where I acted as if I had absolute control power over anything and everything, and I behaved like a tyrant. And I wish I hadn't, but I can't take it back. It's too late, so I now live with the shame. And that's it. And I just pray to God that I am forgiven, and that everything will be resolved on the other side when I cross the veil to the other side. And forgive me, people, for how I might have hurt or abused. So all I'm suggesting here is that this is not comfortable. This is not fun, but it's something that you're aware of, and you know it has to be done. In other words, essentially, it goes against the ego. Why would anybody who's already pretty awesome do something like what TL is describing here? Why would you do that? Everybody fudges. Everybody, creates like an avatar version of themselves. Well, what I'm saying here, Fluffles, is that in order to be the real true you and to live in your true power, you really got to get down to the absolute raw soul energy, where it's almost like a deep cleansing, type of thing. How are we going to do this? Let's move forward, okay? So going forward, okay. So I didn't mean to scare you with any of this, Fluffles, because it's... okay, I got to share an analogy here with you. Okay? So, what do you say? Yeah, it's the PTSD therapy I'm in right now that's bringing out being an asshole right now. Bringing about being... okay. So here's the way I can relate to you in a very... in ways that I can relate truthfully in a personal way. Okay, when I was very young, I was a speed demon freak maniac. Motorcycles, cars, I would just go as fast as I could. I loved speed. I liked auto racing. I liked motorcycle racing. I had the most powerful motorcycle you could get back in the day, and I took it above and beyond. So I ended up in a lot of trouble, a lot of damage, pain, suffering. I didn't kill anybody, nobody killed me, but there was some pretty horrible stuff. And part of it, I have to admit, is because I was addicted to my own power. I was just maniacally in love with that feeling of like... And same thing with cars. I just took it to the limit. I'm not going to say I have totaled, but I have been in situations where I've been in a car where I was the person behind the steering wheel and the car was totaled. Anyway, I'm very ashamed. I can't take it back. And when I talk about totaled, I'm talking about taking that Coca-Cola can and going... And... it took me a very long time to take ownership of my power to the point where I didn't cause so much trouble to myself and trouble to other people. But ultimately, it came down to owning my own power, being responsible and owning my own power. And then what do I do with that? Tricky. So, back to you. I'm hoping you can see how maybe there's a relationship. Now, I had a lot of trauma in my youth. So maybe this was my way of venting huge amounts of pent-up rage and anger and frustration with nowhere to go, because I didn't want to turn into the evil person like the people who were evil to me. So I had to basically process and digest my own trauma. Because I didn't have counselors or anything when I was a kid. God, no. Anyway, going forward, what are we going to do about this? Make it fun, okay? So, let's establish that you're a very strong person. You're just one of those people. You have a very strong aura. You're very strong. You're very, very capable. And people know it. People sense it. That's your nature. That's your core nature. So the question is, what do you do with that? What do you do with all of that? You got to do something, so you do. And every now and again, maybe it gets you into trouble and you regret it later on. But going forward, let's be honest. Let's, get things on paper. You said something about therapy in the notes? Hold on. Yeah, it's the PTSD therapy I'm in that's bringing about being an asshole right now. Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, Heather, how are you? So, going forward, what I'm suggesting here is like, okay, the more notes I'm seeing. I've been drinking a little too much right now and not being very nice. It's the therapy that's bringing out this anger in me. Ah! There we go. Calling it out. You just did the perfect example. That's a perfect example of calling out the truth. Simple, raw, hard truth. And you said it right there on the chat. It's the therapy that's bringing out this anger in me. You see that? That's a perfect example of the Page of Swords type of energy. Being the whistleblower on yourself. You just did it. You didn't want to do it because you did that in public in front of us. So that means you're very, very brave. Because you didn't have to say that, but you did. And so, let's pretend we're in a group therapy. Okay. Let's pretend we're in group therapy right now, tonight. And Fluffles, it's your turn. So, what are we going to do, everybody? We got Fluffles is getting therapy, and it's bringing out the anger, So if you want to type in any recommendations, anybody in their chat for Fluffles, go ahead. But what I'm thinking here is like, pretend I'm the therapist. Dear Fluffles, thank you so much for revealing things. So now we can heal things. That's wonderful. Fluffles, you deserve an award for being the whistleblower on yourself. Well done. So let's see what we're going to do from here. Let's make this fun. You don't have to be angry or anything here. You're with us, okay? We're all dealing with things that need to be dealt with. And somebody needs to set an example. And so now that you have set this example and you're showing the way, then maybe others here who are in therapy can feel more safe and comfortable about being a whistleblower on themselves, because that's self-healing. That's how you heal the self, You can't always expect someone to come along and go poof, heal you all the time, okay? So my feeling is like, let's make this fun. You know how if you've done group therapy, I've done group therapy for years because I had to. Not when I was young, but when I was much older. But it really is an experience, and sometimes I hated it, but every now and again I would do exactly what we were just talking about here tonight. And it felt really good. It felt like a cleansing, like doing a confession or something in public. It's very cleansing, and others can relate. And it helps other people to understand their own shame, dilemma, confusion, whatever it might be. Whatever it is that they need to be revealed for their own healing. So to wrap this up, going forward, the way to handle things is understand that you're okay, Fluffles. You're a wonderful person. You're just dealing with stuff that nobody wants to deal with, but you know it has to be done. You understand already the dynamics that we're talking about. You're using alcohol to do a bit of self-healing, soothing, and all of that right now because there's a lot of anger coming up because you're going through therapy. And guess what? That's normal. You've got to reveal it to heal it. If you've got huge amounts of anger inside you, if you just try to compress it and bottle it up, it just explodes and it comes out badly. So you're doing the right thing. The more you do the revealing for the healing, the more fun it becomes. And the more fun it becomes, the more you can tell yourself, oh, okay, well, that actually worked. I don't have to be an asshole to everybody. I can actually enjoy the process of therapy and healing and try to make it fun going forward. We'll try, okay? I'm putting myself around people who are triggering for me. It's almost on purpose. I don't know why. Well, some people like a good fight. You know what? It's like the bar fight scenario. It's the bar fight. Like some people have a very, very deep-seated anger, rage, frustration from whatever it is. Some horrific thing in their past or their childhood, and it left a deep wound, and they want retribution. And so like you walk into a bar and you're simmering inside you. It's just like the same kind of rage and anger and bitterness I have about how my channel was crushed. I want to go beat people up. I want to really crush them, but I can't do it. So I have to dissipate somewhere else. But you know how people do that in a bar? It's like sometimes people, just leave me alone. I just want to have my drink. Leave me alone. But sometimes people go, it's almost like people go to pick a fight. Because picking a fight is a really, really good way to effectively release a lot of energy very, very quickly. But of course, you're not only getting yourself in trouble, you're putting someone else in the target of your energy. And of course it's going to backfire. God. Oh, Elizabeth, good evening. Hi. Take care of your emotions. How do you do, TL? Take care of your emotions. I'm trying. Hey, Precious. Good evening. By the way, Precious, whenever it was, a week or two ago, thanks for that extremely generous moment when you were sharing your energy. Actually, I think that was on the private Zoom session, wasn't it? Yeah, that was fun. All right, let's go back. So, Fluffles, I hope this helps you. Obviously, do the best you can. I really miss having my beverages. Well, part of me doesn't. I actually really, I prefer the new me. Really, all I have now and again, very rarely, it's like a little Coca-Cola like this. Oh, man. Yeah, it's tough. Sheepers. They know that, but when I express who I am and how my dad is and brother, they can't sit with us. Okay. Yeah, I can't. So dear Fluffles, let me just wrap this up. I just got a couple more things. I have attracted a lot of people in my life who act very, very tough. So tough that they take it out on me physically, brutally, violently. And I don't like that. I don't like being on the receiving end of it because I never deserved it. I was on the receiving end of bar fight people. So I decided I have to change. I decided I'm going to remove myself from the battlefield, from the place of conflict. And then what do you do now? So in other words, maybe there's other ways to have more fun, Fluffles. Some way, somehow. But you got to look forward to the future and figure out how to... I mean, you can have therapy forever if you want, but ultimately you are your own healer in this situation. So there's got to be a way, going forward, to start looking for environments and situations where you're not... I know you were talking about it's a small town area where everybody knows everybody, so you might... it might be difficult to find a new place to hang out where you can have less encounters with people who think they're really tough. But I think it would really, really help if you could. I don't know how to do that, but it would really help. Like maybe just go somewhere else and have fun and do things that are fun That's maybe nothing to do with going to a bar. You know? It's just an idea. Alright, thank you so much, Fluffles. Up next, we got Mr. Ross. And Mr. Ross, earlier in the chat, okay, so we've got secondary side readings coming in right now from the group therapy. Heather's got some notes for you, okay, Fluffles. Esther's got some notes for you. Heather's got some notes for you. Fluffles, you just wrote your own notes to yourself. This was wonderful. I need to re-examine how I'm going to let this intense therapy do me. I need to have fun with it. That's it. You just said it. You just called out the truth on yourself. Thank you so much. I couldn't have said it better myself. You just said it. You need to have fun with it. Way to go, Fluffles. All right, I got to clear this up for because we're going to read for Gregory now. There we go. There we go. Over here. Okay. So then we got this. So Gregory's got some notes here. Needs what kind of messages do we have here for Gregory tonight on dealing with this client David and the billing aspects? Okie dokie. All right, let's have a look. We got to shuffle it up, people. I wonder if I've got that song in my head. Oh, what is it? I have a song in my head. It's an old TarotLumination song. It's called Chasing Rainbows. Here it is. I haven't played this in a long time. It's very, very slow. Before I play the song, again, I have to ask you to use a lot of your own imagination, okay? Imagine you're up in the Scottish... Okay, let's do it this way. Imagine you're up in the Scottish Highlands. And it's chilly, it's foggy, there's not a lot of trees. You're wearing your kilt and your sporran, and you got your bagpipes, and you're getting through really, really tough times. And you're singing this spiritually inspired song that came to you from heaven. And you're playing in unison with the bagpipe. You know how they sound, like ding, ding, ding. So imagine this song, it's called Chasing Rainbows, played with bagpipes. Okay, that's what I'm asking. Use your imagination. Think of this song with bagpipes. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can line it up for you. Here we go. And this is while I shuffle cards for Gregory, okay? Sun's rays shine upon me. Clouds are shifting, storms are clearing. Step out from your shadow and listen to the voices that you are hearing. There's a pot of gold standing there below. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. Cue the bagpipes. Watch the
raindrops glitter. See the 7 colors shimmer. Walk out from your shadows and listen to the voices that you are hearing. There's a pot of gold standing there below. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. May the spirits shine upon you in return for what you've given, and light the world around you, and cast the rays of hope that make it worth living. There's a pot of gold standing there below. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. You're not wasting time chasing rainbows. You're not wasting time chasing your rainbows. You're not wasting time chasing your rainbows.
There we go. There we go. Another little TarotLumination tune for you. Let's have a look. So, where are we? Okay, cards are nicely shuffled, and we're going to do this. What kind of messages do we have for Gregory tonight? Whether regarding billing, okay, for a client, billing for a client. Okie dokie. Over here. Gonna put this over here. Okay, I think we're ready to go, folks. Yep. Last minute, so that you are a witness. Okay, Gregory? Cards are well shuffled, but I like to go to the very last second. No reversals. Sorry, don't do that. Super job. Here we go. What kind of messages do we have here tonight for Gregory regarding billing for a client? Okay. All right, here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. It's going forward. Let's have a look at the external influences for better or worse. So we have the 3 of Swords here. What I'm sensing is awkward interference externally. It's nothing to do with you, Gregory, where there's some form of, some kind of external influence that just keeps sabotaging things over and over and over again, to the point where it just becomes like really frustrating, really tedious, really painful. Like every time you try it this way, it comes up with some kind of deflection, some kind of excuses. You go put your energy out this way, a whole other sort of storyline of excuses, and then in a third way, it's nothing to do with you or the client anymore. It's something to do like, oh, the stock market screwed things up, or oh, my financial consultant messed things up. It's like excuses, 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 excuses. The tricky part, of course, lies right here. We got this really powerful, it's not a full-blown stellium, but it might as well be because it's so powerful. There's the moon, there's Jupiter, there's Uranus, all pretty tight. Well, Uranus is out here, but this is very, very tight right now. And it's great having all this fantastic, beautiful, harmonious energy associated with the Taurus money energy. But this little red line is highly, highly conflicted. And that is on a sort of like a mutual support conflict here from Saturn. So Venus in Leo it just came out of being retrograde. So Venus is direct right now. But if you think of Venus as one of the money planets, the subject of money, things of value, things of beauty, things that we hold precious, Venus is in an extremely tight angle with Uranus. And all of that in the second house of money. And secondly, it's pretty tight with Jupiter and the moon. So it's just like, it's brutal. So how do you deal with that? It's just really, really, it's like a conflicted relationship. Venus in Leo, look at it, Venus in Leo actually is kind of a nice thing. It's a very comfortable placement for Venus. And it means being happy and playful and enjoying the world of relationships. But as you saw from the chart, Venus is highly conflicted right now. So this relationship with this client, you could say, because like I was looking at the chart regarding money, it's highly conflicted. It's super stressful. It's almost like it's not even worth dealing with the subject at this very moment in time. It's too stressed. It's like, it doesn't matter where you turn, you're just going to run into frustration. So, now that's nothing to do with you. It's nothing personal. It's just that's what's out there, and it's impacting the billing and the relationship with the client, okay? So let's have a look. Let's have a look over here. What's the situation itself? So the Queen of Cups. My feeling is that this is sort of about you, where you can't help yourself, Gregory. And I think this is almost like what you set up earlier. Like, I always regret being nice to people. Oh, I can't remember. I wish I could remember. It was like a perfect thing for a t-shirt. Maybe you could type it again in the chat. It was something like, I always regret being nice to people. Was that it? And the thing is that you come from a very, very powerful place of kindness and love and generosity. And that's your default setting. But you live in a world where there's a lot of assholes and jerks who don't operate that way. It's not reciprocal at all. In fact, it's just the opposite, as we found out here. You might be coming from a very loving perspective, like Venus when it's in harmony. But with Venus highly conflicted right now between Saturn and Uranus and Jupiter and the moon, it's like a business relationship dynamic that's super stressed. It just puts you in a difficult position. Like okay, you just put it there. I always regret being nice. So, but like maybe if you were an asshole, a total asshole, you could have sorted something out, or maybe you could, and just get really vicious and do everything that's not nice. But that's kind of goes against your nature, because you're, it's one of the characteristics that you have, because we've worked together a lot over the years, is that you're like a lot of people who come to this channel, they're almost like compassion junkies. They can't help wanting to share and help and heal. And they do so. And frequently, they get shit thrown back at them as a way of saying thank you. It doesn't make any sense. You know, it's like somebody goes out and gets help and healing and fixed, and the receiver goes like, you know what, you freaking screwed up. I'm not gonna pay you. You don't deserve shit. And that's not your fault. You're just doing your job. You're just being nice. And then you come across an asshole. Basically a complete asshole. Okay? So, let's have a look. How are we, what's the situation here? What's the problems deep inside, okay? Okay, I think the Fool card relates, I think, very closely to the Three of Swords here, where you might feel like, what does it matter anymore? What's the point? What's the point in trying to be nice, or trying to be civil, trying to be ethical, loving, caring, compassionate, understanding, accepting of a client in a billing situation, when all you're getting is static, you know, deflect, deny, delay, distract, all of that kind of stuff, which is just totally useless, unnecessary, and very low frequency, unloving behavior. And that's outside of you. It's nothing to do with you at all. It's nothing personal. It's just that you're on the receiving end of that shit. So, sorry, excuse my language, man. So, with the Fool card here, it makes you feel it's almost like I'm just going to have to do a little bit of TarotLumination acting here. Like with the Fool card there, the situation is like, you're like this. What can I do? It doesn't matter what I do. If I do that, I'm wrong. If I do that, I'm wrong. If I try to do that, I'm cursed. If I try to do that, I'm just taking myself backwards. What's the point? And so it's almost like being paralyzed, like, well, I got to do something. On the other hand, if I do something, whatever it is, there's a very high probability it's going to backfire, because I already have experience, as you can see, like externally, this has been going on, that things backfire. They're not supposed to, but they do. And the relationship is, it's sick, poison, toxic, or unhealthy, or something like that. And it's not your fault. So you end up in a situation like, well, I might as well try that. But you already know that if I try that, that's just as likely to backfire as if I try that. So let's try maybe this. We haven't done that before. Then you realize, like, I already know the answer. It's going to backfire if I do that. So just like, I don't know. I have no idea. I could just jump into a black hole. Won't make any difference. All right, let's keep going. Okay. So how do we move forward here in a situation like this? Very tricky. Very, very tricky. Oh, it's almost like, so with the tower here, it's almost like to the point where you might as well do whatever you want and blow it all up. You know what's happening right now with the I'm going to do another little, this is a personal thing right now. I'm trying to draw an analogy here. So in your situation, okay, Gregory, where, you know, like in the United States federal government, they're wrestling with this so-called, what's it called, budget, extending the budget, whatever it is, so that the government can government lockdowns. The government is trying to theoretically, apparently, avoid a government shutdown, because the whole of the world's going to implode and collapse if the American government shuts down. And if you dig deep, you realize that it's all that happens is a few departments get shut down for a while, but the military keeps going, Social Security keeps going, Medicare keeps going. The border problem is still a problem, but it's not the end of the world. So it's all about theatrics and stuff. And inside the Republican House, there has been a lot of contention where there are some people who are really, really, really hardcore about budget and finance and economics and politics. And they are very unaccepting of, establishment politics, status quo behavior where everything is fudged out and like it's all theater, it's all fake, and in the end we just keep printing more money, creating more debt and chaos and poverty. And there's some folks in Congress who are saying, enough. Let it all burn down. Do not cave on the budget. If anybody wants to blame us for the budget problem, let them. I don't care anymore. We have to stick to the absolute raw, brutal truth of the situation. It's not right to play this political shenanigans back and forth. So the Tower, what I'm seeing for you, it's almost like you're at the point, well, what have I got to lose? If you kind of go in vicious. I don't know if that makes any sense, Gregory. Where it would probably be something that you would be really loath to do, but it would almost like be getting into someone's face. And if you're at the point where if it's all going to go down anyway, and it's looking extremely frustrating, it could go on for weeks or months and months like this of endless frustration back and forth. It's like, Venus is going to move out of this position in a while, and then Venus is going to be up here in Virgo in about a month, I think. Well, wait a minute, I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that. But when Venus gets out of Leo and Venus is up here in the high degrees of Virgo, it's going to be a very different vibe for the Venus angle on here. There's going to be a lot more harmony in aspects of relationships, okay? The fifth house includes private enterprise and business relationships, okay? So right now, this is the worst possible time to expect any kind of resolution with the billing with this client person. My feeling is like in a bit of time, when Venus is up here, very close to the high degrees of Virgo, like Mercury is right now, I think it's like 24, 26 degrees, then the subject of billing could be explored probably in a much more comfortable setting. But right now, this is like, it doesn't look like this is going to work. I mean, if you want to, let's say if you decide to force the situation, take legal action and all that, where are you going to go? How are you going to do it? But you could rant. You could like say, you know what? You owe me, blah, blah, blah. On the other hand, if you do like a, what do they call it? I don't know what the word is, but where you deliberately walk away on the situation and you kind of leave a curse behind you, let it all burn down, let the relationship burn down. That's, to me, it doesn't look very productive or useful. It just looks like if you try anything right now, it's just going to destroy any hope of salvation later on. And like what happened in the Congress this week, late Friday night and on Saturday, the people, the really hardcore defenders of the Constitution and the budget, were basically saying to Congress, you know what? We don't care if the government shuts down because ultimately we want minimal government anyway. So let it all burn down. Let the budget expire. Let the bankroll expire. Burn it all down. Some people wanted like burn down Washington, get rid of all the swamp, everything. However, it's like okay, the way I'm seeing it, Gregory, is like it doesn't matter whatever you try to do right now. It's futile. My feeling is it might be better to wait a minute. Let me see if I can find when Jupiter is in when Venus is in Virgo at the high degrees. Okay, so Gregory, I'm working over here. Bear with me a second. I'm tracking Venus going up to the very high degrees in November. Okay, if you could hang out and just be patient until Sunday night, the 5th of November, and we'll have another meetup and plan something for that week, because for the rest of that week you're going to be in the very high end degrees of Venus in Virgo, and that's going to be much more supportive for you towards getting to some resolution. And we're going to have a completely different reading, of course. So it's not too far to wait. It's obviously very frustrating because we're here right now. We just started October. So that means having to go through the whole of October and basically the first week of November. So if you can hang on and just live with the frustration, then I would say the planets will change, hopefully in your favor. It'll certainly be an improvement to where things are this very moment. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope that helped you, Gregory. It's not a very... what this is saying, like, no matter what you do right now, and the whole thing's just going to blow up. It's not even worth trying. You're going to get screwed over, effed over, whatever you do, whatever you try. And it's pointless being your traditional, loving, compassionate, caring self, seeking the best outcomes for everybody, especially people that you represent, like your clients. But if you have an asshole client, it's very, very difficult. Some people are just not appreciative. And they do it by withholding, like, you know what, I'm just not going to pay you. Uck you. Uck you. So anyway, let's move on. We'll revisit all this. All right. Okay, let's go over here. Now, dear necessary. I don't know. I'm talking about 5 or 6 weeks. Oh, very, very, very tricky. Very tricky situation. I'm just going to clear up the deck here for a little bit. Give me a second, folks. I'm going to play my little song in a minute. Taste Your Dreams. I'll do it after we do this. I'm just going to clear up here, and then we're going to have a look at Saturn at the very early degrees. All right, let's have a look here. Alright, so I've got, actually I'm going to tuck this over here so I have a bit more room. Alright, bear with me. October, okay. This is, okay, yes, Saturn is still retrograde. So let's establish a few things first. We've talked about this way early in the show. We've got, out of all the planets, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all still retrograde right now. That's still an awful lot of heavy retrograde energy. Basically, anything and everything that can go wrong will go wrong during this period regarding wherever Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are active in your chart at those specific degrees. Now, if you have actual placements, astrologic placements, at any of these specific degrees, then it's going to be really amplified. But the theme applies to everybody on Earth. So right now, we just came out of a wall of retrogrades. We're still in a wall of retrogrades here. Jupiter, yeah, okay. Pluto, by the way, Gregory, I just thought of this. Pluto is going to go direct soon. So that's going to change things. That means it's stopped. Pluto has stopped moving this way, and it's going to start moving this way, head back into Aquarius eventually. It's going to take months, but it is going to do it, and then there's no going back. Saturn, okay, the planets that are retrograde now, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So the farther, in the old days, astrology only went as far as Saturn. In other words, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Because those are the visible bodies in the sky. But the great astrologers of thousands of years ago, they knew that there was something else going on. But they couldn't explain it because they couldn't see the other planets. Today we have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay, but Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, you couldn't see them. And so the energy that we now know as astrologers is associated with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which allows us to do these kind of analyses and predictions and observations. They didn't have that back then. They knew something was going on because they could feel it in their bodies, in their life experience. But the only way that they could explain it was through mythology. Like there's a mythical Uranus unicorn out there or something. Or there's the god Neptune of the seas, where as soon as you set out over in this direction, the wind would change and take you there. And when you dream up something beautiful, it turns into a nightmare. And then when they're talking about the sacred mythology of Pluto, they knew it was something to do with extreme power that is great when it works, but it is ultimate destruction and catastrophe when it doesn't work. But they only had mythological creatures. Now we have actual planets. So, what the astrologers also noticed is that as the planet moves through the different constellations, they noted certain events would happen in human life, human experience. They noticed that the moon had lots of things to do with people's emotions and their feelings and their intuition. They noticed that when the sun was in the constellation of Libra, it would be about harmony and balance and love and relationships, and so on with all the signs. And then the same thing going through each planet, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So when it got to Saturn, they realized that just like when any planet crosses the cusp, the energy gets very, very intense. Now, what's going to happen over the next few months is Saturn moves very slowly, not anywhere near as slow as Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, but still very slow. In other words, Saturn takes almost 30 years to go from here to here. And when it does that, it's going to have all sorts of retrograde periods over that 30-year period going through each sign. So it's a long, long journey. And back in those days, people were lucky to be alive until they were 30, 40, 50, or 60 years old. So if you made it to your second Saturn return, you were like you were special. How did you live through your first Saturn return? How on earth did you ever make it to your second Saturn return? But that's how serious it is. Now, when any planet goes around or near the cusp, like right now over here with Pluto, it's all around the cusp, with the 29 degree mark over here and the 0 degree mark here and the 1 degree mark over here, the energy just gets very, very intense. And when it crosses over from the 29.5 to the 0, it's at maximum intensity. And from the 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 degrees, it's very, very intense, like newborn energy for whatever that planet or sign is in whatever house. So at the degree here, earlier this year, we already had Saturn going direct, went way up to here, but now it's gone back to here. So what's happening is we are revisiting some very, very tough issues regarding Saturn, which happens to be very, very hard, very acute opposition with Venus. So love and relationships are under a lot of pressure right now, because even though Venus is in Leo and the exact opposition would be in Aquarius, it's still close enough to be a hard opposition, even though Saturn is technically in Pisces. So it's very difficult to understand, but there's a lot of pressure going on in relationships where people are trying to figure out what's actually going on in this relationship, as opposed to what do we think or what are we being told is going on in the relationship. So it makes it very, very difficult. Saturn is the administrator of tests, and we are being tested. So in the very, very early degrees like this, if we didn't figure it out in the first few months, we're going back again to be tested again. Saturn in Pisces is putting intense pressure on the energy like that we associate with Pisces and Neptune. Like, what about dreams? What about being loving? What about universal love? What about unconditional love? How are you relating in love relationships? Is it conditional love? In other words, I love you, darling, but if you don't bring enough money, I don't love you anymore. I love you, darling, but only when you're in a good mood. Oh, I love you, darling, but only when I can, cheat on you without anybody finding out. All sorts of things. Because when we're dealing with the Pisces energy here, we're talking about 12th house energy, the house of hidden enemies, betrayal, lies, deception, abuse, sickness, disease, imprisonment, things like that. Now, the healthy expression, of course, is beauty, divine inspiration, unconditional love, connection with divinity and the angels, and just pure love. Everyone has their own idea of what real love is. But anyway, that's another story. Right now, with Saturn at the 1 degree mark, 1.5 degrees, retrograding right up to 0, the pressure is going to intensify over here. And I'll show you. I don't know, we might not be able to see it on the camera here, but okay, here. So right now, here is Saturn at 1.25 degrees. Then it's going to go down to 1 degree. Then it's to 0.58, 0.4, 0.3. So it's getting very, very close to the cusp, very, very tight degrees. And then it's at the actual 0 degree mark, and it's going to hover there. It's almost exactly, it really is exactly on the cusp between Pisces and Aquarius. So you can interpret it as that as the society, like when Saturn is testing everyone in society. How are you behaving in society? Is that in accordance with universal love? In other words, we the people, are we operating like March of the Penguins as a community, or are we operating in a life in a world of complete tyranny. One or the other. You choose. So the pressure is going to increase here right now. Again, with its Pisces, it's hard to even put words to it sometimes, but we are being tested. And it's going to go on for, the testing is going to go on for the rest of October, all of October, right down to the 0 point, right down to the very, very thinnest line of the cusp, right here. I'll do it right here. That little line represents the 0 point. Okay? This side is Capricorn, this side is Aquarius. So Saturn, oh sorry, that's the Aquarius, that's for Pluto. Here's for Saturn. So Saturn is hovering here right now. It's going to get very close, but not quite. It's never going to quite go back here. So we're never going back, but we're getting very close. So we're just re-examining all this stuff. Intense pressure to reveal it, to heal it. It's like pretend that I am Saturn, okay? All right? Pretend that I am the administrator of the tests. I am Saturn. I'm looking down on the world. I'm looking down on your world. Okay? Necessary truth. I'm sitting there. Are you going to pass your tests? Are you doing the right thing? I'm not going to judge you or anything. I'm just going to let you know. Okay? Fail. Pass or fail. And then you suffer the consequences. If you pass and you do okay, great. If you don't pass and you haven't done your homework and you'd be trying to squirm and get out of it, it's on you. I'm just the administrator. Good luck. That's why a lot of people don't like Saturn energy, because they don't want to be tested. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to have to be responsible for things that they would rather not do. But Saturn comes along and says, okay, if you think you want to skate through life that way, great. You're going to regret it. Just letting you know. Take my word for it. Or not. It's up to you. Just the administrator. And so when SHIT hits the fan and things start to go wrong in your life and you start projecting and blaming it on everyone else and your whole life turns to SHIT, it's like, oh my God, am I really the author of my own demise? Is that what you're saying, Saturn? And Saturn goes, yep, effectively. Bad things happen, for sure. This question is, how do you deal with it? Oh. And it's especially hard to figure out when Saturn is in Pisces. But we have to figure it out. Humanity has to heal. You've got to figure out the deepest, darkest, hardest, most difficult to diagnose ailments, diseases. And most of that, the way I see it, okay, necessary truth, is that a lot of people, a lot of humanity has been corrupted, destroyed by certain people at the very top who have done such an effective job of conditioning in people to operate in a world of deception, lies, betrayal, deceit, I've already said that, abuse, theft, crime, that they don't know anything else. It's hopeless. So you wake up, you're born, and you live in a culture. Like in the United States, we have the United States Federal Reserve banking system. It's fraud. On a massive scale, it's so big that nobody knows it's even happening. We're all debt cows on a debt farm. Does anybody teach you that when you're at school? No, because the elites don't want you to know. They want you to be a debt cow on a debt farm forever. But we have to call it out. Saturn is, I think, working very well with Pisces and Neptune in that way. We've got to deal with it because it's the stench is so bad. It's like the smell of rotten meat. It's like the smell of vomit and poop and rotten meat all swirled up in a blender. Can you imagine that? It's that bad. That's how I see it. But it has to be dealt with. It's like backed up sewage pipes. It's got to be dealt with. Okay? So I hope I didn't scare you, Necessary Truth, but that's what I see for the next, 6 weeks or so. At least for the rest of October, with Saturn right there on the tippy tiny cusp, the 1 degree to the 0 point. The energy is very, very intense, raw. There you go. Yep. Ironically, I have a test on the 25th. Oh, interesting. Let's have a quick look here, Jeffrey. On the 25th. 14, that's pretty tight. 0, that's fine. Earth, where's let's see, Uranus is at 21. Saturn, okay, that's fading. Let's have, hold on, let me think. Give me a second, okay, Jeffrey? This is very nice and supportive. So on the 25th. Jeffrey, I would have to work with you in private to get onto the 25th. Because if we pull up the astrology for the 25th, if I pull up some very accurate astrology for the 25th of October, then we can kind of pinpoint any pitfalls, stumbling blocks, and find out where are the strengths and the opportunities, okay? Oh, it's the custom broker exam. Oh, yeah, got it. Oh, yeah. Whew. Yeah, and you said there's only like a 10% success rate. Ouch. Whew, okie dokie. Well, you are a very diligent person, Jeffrey. So, let's assume the best. That you're going to do well. But I would have to do some homework to get better information for you on that particular date. All right, I think we got it. It's like 5, 6, 7. Okay, okay. Okay, I think it's time to wrap it up, folks. We've had a splendid evening again. I hope you guys enjoyed your mini readings. Got some fun out of it. Got some help and healing and backup healing, like a group therapy session. Tonight it really felt like a group therapy session. It was kind of funny. And of course it's good for me too. I benefit personally from this. I get my own version of healing from you guys. I want you to be so happy. I want you to be your higher self. I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams, taste your dreams, taste your dreams. All right, I'm going to play that song, and then I'm going to say goodnight. Give me a second here. I'll figure it out. Figure it out. Let me figure it out. Here we go. Imagine that I have a really, really, really good sort of classy kind of reggae band in the background. Okay? Providing a beautiful, gentle reggae beat with nice keyboard. Imagine that. Okay? Use your imagination. Neptune in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces says, let's do this properly. Use your imagination. Imagine you're on a beautiful beach in Jamaica, okay? Or somewhere in the Caribbean that's absolutely beautiful and hasn't been pummeled by hurricanes and, riots and things like that. And there's this just amazing reggae band. And they say, oh my God, TL's here. We all know his song is called Taste Your Dreams. Let's do Taste Your Dreams. Okay, TL, it's up to you now. Okay. It goes like this, folks. Good night, everybody.
Okay. If you wish for a simple miracle, if you wish you can have them right away. All you need is some faith, is the will. Ask for it and it will come to you today. I want you to be oh so happy. I want you to be your higher self. Yeah. I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way. Yeah. Na da 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 da, na da 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 da. La da 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 da, da 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 da. And if you wish to be in a state of grace, ask for it and it will meet you face to face. And if you wish, if you dare to dream, you will find that it's easier than it seems. Hey, I want you to be oh so happy. I want you to be your higher self. Yeah, I want you to live and die laughing. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way. Yeah. Da 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 la da 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 la da 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 la da 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 da. Taste your dreams today. Taste your dreams this way. Taste your dreams this way. Taste your dreams today.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, Bubba's here. I gotta play a new song. Give me a second, Bubba. Right here. I'm gonna play. This is for all the broken-hearted people. This is a sad bar song.
There's a place that I go for the broken-hearted.
Pretend I'm Elvis Presley. Okay, just think of me as Elvis Presley right now.
There's a place that I go when I'm broken-hearted. It's a place where everyone gets in the door. Whether young, burnt out or old, or when you've got nobody to hold, you get some complimentary love, then you're free to slow dance on the floor. In this place that I go, there are others just like me. There's no shame, and despite your pain, there's no blame allowed. Where the music, it lifts you up, it lets you cry, then gently sets you down with no judgments. And you're not just a face in a crowd. Sometimes when it's quiet, you won't have to wait too long in line. You enter, then take your sweet time to pick and choose. So who you gonna tell your story to? And sometimes it gets so crazy, yeah, you'll be waiting for over an hour. But the bouncers, they'll find a way to squeeze you in for sure. Start getting too sentimental, there's a team that'll tear you apart, then put you back together better, so you can make a new start. Yeah, and it's okay just to sing. Ooh, and feel your pain. Sing it, oh, 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 oh. Just get it out, get it gone, then reclaim your heart. Bless the love that you've lost, then move on. There's a place that I go